So that was $5.99 a month. I didn't even know I had it. Hey, what up people? My name is Andre Vilek, and today we're gonna find out what do I spend in a month as an actor living in London. I figured I'm just gonna do an actor edition because as actors we're tight as fuck. No, I'm kidding, but at least for me, I feel like when I'm in London, I'm on a work trip, let's say, so I try to not spend that much money on useless things, and I'm not trying to have a flashy car or a flashy house. So I think my expenses are kind of the bare minimum. I mean, not the bare minimum, but at the lower end. So yeah, I figured it would be useful for some of you if you're an actor, planning to move to London, or if you're just curious, because who doesn't like talking about money. Yeah, let's get straight into it. I wasn't aware of these numbers before I planned to make this video, so it was quite useful for me as well. It helped me cancel a couple of subscriptions that I wasn't even using. So I've divided my expenses into 4 categories, which would be necessary expenses, which would be rent, food, transport. Then it's going to be acting expenses, then it's going to be subscriptions, and finally it's going to be other expenses such as social life, barbershop, etc. So my rent, I live in a 3-bedroom flat in Tooting, London, which is roughly 20 minutes on the tube to the center, and the closest tube station to me is like 15-minute walk. So we pay in total 2,100. That equals to 700 per room, and our landlord kind of increases rent every year, so that's already the new price, which is going to start from mid-August, 700 per person. Utilities, we got water, which is total £45 a month. That would be 15 per person. Internet, £34 a month, which would be 11.33 per person. And then we got electricity, gas, that's roughly 93 per month, which would be 31 per person. And then we got the council tax, which is just a kind of house tax that everybody needs to pay in London, or I mean everywhere in the UK maybe. But what I've heard is that the area I'm in, which is Wandsworth, is the lowest council tax in the UK, or at least in London, that's what I've heard. So we pay 117 in total, which would be 39 per person. 700 is kind of at the lower end. Of course, if you want to share, a 6-bedroom flat or a 6-bedroom house, you could get it for a bit cheaper, maybe like 500, 600. But I kind of like the 3-bedroom flat situation. We got 3 double bedrooms, we got a balcony, we got a huge living room where I record all my podcasts. By the way, podcasts are coming back. I had one holiday in June and that kind of kicked me off the wagon, but we're gonna get back in there. So yeah, I'm working on it because I really enjoyed it. Plus I have all the equipment now, But anyway, that brings us to 796 British pounds and 33 pence. So that's the biggest expense, obviously. London is one of the most expensive cities in the world, so you just gotta deal with that, Next, we got food. So in terms of food, I don't really do takeaways. I mean, every now and then, but mostly I do my own food shopping, and that would be either a Tesco nearby or there's a Lidl. I know in Estonia, Lidl is like the worst shop you can ever go to, but here actually Lidls are super good. It's so much cheaper, plus I feel like they have quite good options as well. So I've calculated that food is gonna be roughly between 15 and 20 pounds a day. I mean, yeah, some days are a bit less. When I take takeaway, it could be a bit more, but they're roughly between 15 and 20. So I just took the average, 17.5 a day times 30 would be 525 pounds a month. Before I've tried to be a bit more financially aware, than I gave myself 100 pounds per week. And that kind of worked, but now it's kind of like, whatever, you gotta eat, and if there's a time where you don't have money, you just eat a bit less, so we can bend that number when we're in trouble. So after rent and food, we're at 1,321 and 33 pence. So now we move to transport, because I do have a full-time job, which is a bit away. So for that, I have a moped. So the petrol would be roughly £5 a week, which would bring us to roughly £20 a month. Then we got the moped insurance, £28.49 a month. That's so much cheaper than having a car, guys. I personally like driving, I enjoy driving and I love going on road trips and all of that. But in London, having a car is just pointless because first of all, there's a lot of traffic, so you're gonna be just sitting in traffic jams or whatever. The car insurance in the UK is absolutely mental. It's like 150 a month or something for like a shitty car. So that's why I don't have a car, and that's why I'm not interested in getting a car here. Plus on a moped, you can literally skip the traffic, you can filter, and so it's very convenient. Next we got maintenance. I put down £50 a year, which would be, for the oil changes and whatever. So that would come down to roughly £4 and 16p a month. Then we have the DVLA tax, which is the vehicle tax, and that would be $227 a month. And then finally, I've added tube and bus costs because I found out I do use tubes and buses on odd occasions, so it's going to be roughly $15 a month. So that's going to bring the transport to £69 and 92p. So that will bring us to $1,391.25. So let's move on. Let's move on to acting expenses, which is going to be mainly subscriptions basically. So let's start with Spotlight. And Spotlight as well, the price goes up every single year, which is absolutely mental. So right now, Spotlight is sitting at 18 British pounds a month. Then we got Mandy, which is another website. That's roughly 10 euros a month, which would equal to 8.5 pounds. Then we got Backstage, 10 euros a month, which would be again 8.5 pounds. Then I have IMDb Pro, which is roughly 140 pounds a year, so that comes down to 11.66 a month. Then we got Headshots, so I just put that I take them once a year, which is kind of what I do. Let's say 300 a year, so that comes down to 25 a month. Then I got 2 more subscriptions, but they're not necessarily acting related, but they're podcast related and YouTube related. So it's going to be Canva, where I, design all the thumbnails and used to do all the podcast stuff. That comes to $12.99 a month. And then I have Adobe Podcast, which is what I use to kind of remove background sound from the podcast audio and stuff. So that's £10 a month. So that's going to bring the total acting expenses to $94.65, and that's going to bring us to £1485.90. Cool, nice to see the numbers are going up. So let's move on to the other expenses. So we got the gym, that's $27.99, and that's the cheapest, to be honest. I mean, it's also the best. It's not like I picked the cheapest one. Google Drive subscription, which is just an upgrade to have more storage, so that's £1.8 a month. Then we have Amazon Prime, which is $4.49 a month, and that, by the way, I've cancelled as of today because I wasn't using Amazon Prime at all. I've cancelled you, Amazon Prime. I've cancelled you. And then we got Uber One, which I didn't even know I had. So that was $5.99 a month. I didn't even know I had it. Always when I used Uber or Uber Eats app, I was logged into the account that didn't have the membership. My membership was on some random account. I didn't even know from when. And then last but not least, we got the data plan from my phone, which includes 50 gigabytes of internet. In the UK, if I want to use it abroad, I need to pay some extra, but then it will still take those gigabytes from my data plan. So it's cool, it's useful. And then unlimited amount of phone calls. So I pay £15 a month. So that will bring the total other subscriptions to 55.27. That will bring us to $1,541.17. So yeah, now we got just other expenses, which would be social life, which is eating out, pint, shot, whiskey, pint. Which, to be honest, I don't do that often. No, I would say once a month, but that's not even true, to be honest. So I just put 50. So yeah, that depends on you. But as I said, for me, it feels like whenever I'm in London, it's kind of like a work trip. So I'm in a kind of good routine, let's say. I'm not really going crazy out, but for that, I try to travel a lot, and then I go crazy. So the money will be spent, don't worry. And then a barbershop, that would be £16 per cut. Let's say I go 2 times a month, so that would be £32 a month, which would bring the grand total of other expenses to £82. So now we have found out the answer to the question, what do I spend in a month as an actor living in London? I'm gonna put it on the screen for you guys. The final amount is this one, 1,623 British pounds and 17 pence. Yeah, I don't know if it's a lot. It's definitely most of the money. I don't know if you expected more. I don't know if I expected more or if I expected less. I could definitely probably cut down with food a bit, try to eat more healthy. So that would reduce the amount of takeaways. That would reduce the amount of eating out when I'm at work or whatever. So yeah, I could definitely do that. To be honest, I think there's not really much to cut down on. This is a monthly expense that goes away anyway. And then there is other expenses that I have, which vary, to be honest. Either I want to travel. Oh, by the way, I'm going to Spain on 20th of August and I really want to vlog again. I kind of like watching back the vlogs, and I I know some of you might as well. So yeah, we're gonna bring the vlogs back. We're definitely gonna bring the podcast back soon. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments, guys, what city do you live in and what are your kind of minimum monthly expenses? Let's say it would be cool to know. Let me know if you're an actor planning to move to London or if you already live in London. Let's compare our expenses, guys. But yeah, thank you so much and I'll see you next time. Safe.